Helldivers versus Clone Troopers. 1000 versus 1000 Combat Effectiveness Analysis. In this epic face-off, 1000 Super Earth Armed Forces (SEAF) Helldivers from the Helldivers universe battle 1000 Phase 2 Clone Troopers from Star Wars. We'll compare their weapons, armor, training, special gear, firepower, tactics, and mobility to see which faction has the edge in each category. Then, we'll simulate 100 battles across 10 distinctive environments, from open fields to urban streets, jungles to space. Finally, we'll tally the wins and losses, 10 battles per environment, 100 battles total, for a grand conclusion on who comes out on top. Strap in, this will be a deep dive into futuristic firepower versus clone warfare. Weapons. Both the Helldivers and Clone Troopers carry an arsenal of deadly weapons, but their technology and variety differ greatly. Helldivers weapons. Helldivers are equipped with a vast array of firearms and ordnance. Their standard rifle is the AR-23 Liberator assault rifle, firing high-velocity kinetic rounds. Each Helldiver also carries a Pt.2 Peacemaker sidearm as backup. Beyond the basics, Helldivers can deploy an impressive variety of primary weapons: shotguns, SMGs, precision rifles, even a railgun sniper, flamethrowers, and laser weapons. Their armory includes ballistic and energy weapons. For example, the MG-94 machine gun for suppressive fire, or the LAS-13 Trident laser rifle for cutting through heavy armor. Helldiver squads often bring special heavy weapons via stratagems: recoilless anti-tank rifles, automatic grenade launchers, flamethrower packs, and more. This diverse arsenal means Helldivers can tailor their firepower to any enemy. Armor-piercing rounds, incendiary upgrades, even Arc-Tech electro lasers are at their disposal. Crucially, Helldivers can call down additional weapons mid-battle with a quick-coded request to orbit. A heavy MG or recoilless rifle can be drop-podded to the surface. This on-demand resupply of firepower gives Helldivers a flexible edge in prolonged fights. Clone Trooper weapons. Phase 2 Clone Troopers standardize on plasma-based blasters. The typical clone carries a DC-15A blaster rifle, a long rifle, or the shorter DC-15S carbine, both firing lethal particle beams. These weapons have proven effectiveness against battle droids and organic targets alike, delivering serious stopping power with each shot. Clones also employ Z6 rotary blaster cannons, a 6-barreled minigun style blaster for heavy suppressive fire, and PLX-1 missile launchers for anti-armor strikes. They carry thermal detonators grenades as standard issue, which pack an explosive punch for clearing rooms and disabling enemy vehicles. Elite units bring additional gear. ARC troopers might use dual DC-17 hand blasters for close quarters, and clone commandos wield the configurable DC-17M, able to switch between rifle, sniper, and anti-armor modes on the fly. Clone snipers use the DC-15X sniper rifle for long-range headshots. In certain situations, clones field special weapons like flamethrowers used by clone flame troopers on Geonosis, or EMP grenades to disable droids. While the clone arsenal is less varied in types, mostly energy weapons, it is highly effective. Blasters have a high rate of fire and they don't run out of bullets, though power packs can overheat. Clone units usually include specialists, a sniper, a heavy gunner with a Z6, a rocket launcher trooper, etc., to cover all threats. However, unlike Helldivers, clones cannot summon new weapons at will. They carry what they deploy with, and resupply comes only from what they bring or from support vehicles. Comparison. The Helldivers clearly benefit from greater weapon variety and versatility. Their mix of kinetic, laser, and explosive arms, plus the ability to call in any heavy weapons as needed, means they can adapt their firepower to the situation. For instance, if confronted by a fortified clone position, Helldivers can deploy an obliterated grenade launcher or even an orbital precision strike to blast it apart. Clone Troopers, while extremely well armed by their universe's standards, rely on blasters which, although deadly, all share similar damage profiles. Plasma bolts effective to medium range. Clones do have some heavy kit missile miniguns, but Helldivers simply have more tools in the toolbox, from toxic chemical weapons to arc lightning guns. Additionally, Helldiver projectile weapons might outrange blasters in some cases, and their experimental arms like railguns can punch through cover that clone blasters might not. On the flip side, clone weapons have the advantage of simplicity and reliability. Every trooper's blasters can lay down rapid firepower, whereas Helldivers must deliberately equip each weapon type. If caught with the wrong loadout, a Helldiver squad can be momentarily disadvantaged. Example, carrying only anti-tank weapons when swarmed by infantry. Overall though, the raw and varied firepower Helldivers bring is overwhelming. The edge goes to Helldivers when it comes to weapons. The Helldivers' expensive and customizable arsenal gives them the advantage, allowing them to outgun and out-adapt the clone troopers in most firefights. Armor. Staying alive in combat is as much about protection as firepower. How do the Helldiver powered suits compare to the clone trooper armor? Let's break down their armor system, defensive capabilities, and vulnerabilities. Helldiver armor. Helldivers wear a full-body powered combat suit issued by the Super Earth Armed Forces. The standard C.E.A. infantry armor, which Helldivers also use when freshly deployed, is the Pt.1 blue tactical armor worn over a bodysuit. This armor provides basic protection against pistol and rifle rounds, even some defense against stabbing or shrapnel. In other words, it's roughly equivalent to high-end modern body armor. A direct bullet hit to the chest might be absorbed or deflected, though with blunt force trauma, while lighter fragments won't penetrate easily. The Helldiver helmet is fully enclosed, with visor and filter. Helldivers can operate in hostile environments, toxic atmosphere, biological hazards, thanks to the suit's sealing and air filters. However, this standard armor isn't invincible. In the Helldivers game lore, troopers still die quickly if caught out, suggesting that a strong hit like a heavy caliber round or an alien's claw can breach the suit. To bolster protection, Helldivers have optional upgrades. A heavy armor perk adds plating to survive additional hits, and there are deployable shield generators that project temporary energy shields in the field. Notably, Helldiver stratagem support can even drop a portable shield dome, the SH-32 shield generator, to cover an area, offering brief respite under fire. In summary, a Helldiver's armor is flexible. By default, it's sturdy but not impervious. With perks or equipment, it can approach powered armor levels, stopping several shots or providing energy shield protection. Clone Trooper Armor. Phase 2 Clone Trooper Armor is the iconic white plastoid composite armor worn by Republic clone infantry during the later Clone Wars. It consists of hard plates over a black body glove, covering the torso, limbs, and head. Phase 2 was an improvement over Phase 1. It's lighter, more comfortable, and supports specialized add-ons. The armor is designed to protect against heat, pressure, and fragmentation, providing decent coverage in conventional battle. However, it's well documented that clone armor cannot withstand direct blaster shots. A single laser bolt can and often does kill a clone if it hits cleanly. The armor might deflect glancing shots and offer some survivability. We see clones sometimes survive a hit or two in the animated series, possibly due to armor absorbing part of the energy, but generally a solid hit is lethal. Against physical projectiles, clone armor could be effective. The plastoid plates likely would stop low caliber rounds or reduce penetration, though high caliber slugs might crack it. Phase 2 helmets include enhanced filtration against gas, but no independent oxygen supply. Unlike Phase 1, which had a built-in life support for brief vacuum exposure, Phase 2 requires an external air tank for space or underwater operations. The helmet does feature advanced imaging, night vision, infrared, and a heads-up display for tactical data. Elite clone units have armor modification. ARC troopers wear commas, waist caps, and pauldrons that provide extra ammunition and possibly blast protection for the neck, and clone commanders don the heavier Katarn class commando armor. Katarn armor is a cut above. It's heavier and far better protected than standard clone armor, even incorporating deflector shields and bacta injectors for self-healing. Commando armor can take multiple direct hits that would fell a regular trooper, as seen in Star Wars Republic Commando game and the Bad Batch. However, only a fraction of the 1,000 clones in our scenario are commandos or ARC troopers. Comparison. Both armors offer similar baseline protection, enough to guard against stray shrapnel and glancing shots, but not enough to let soldiers tank direct hits from other sides' main weapons. A Helldiver hit squarely by a clone's blaster bolt is likely going down. Their armor isn't rated for directed energy bolts of that magnitude, and a clone trooper struck by a Helldiver's assault rifle rounds or laser beam is in equal peril. Neither standard armor can make a wearer bulletproof or blaster-proof. That said, there are some differences. Helldiver armor excels in environmental protection. They can fight in toxic climates or biohazard zones more readily, whereas Phase 2 armor has the edge in integrated HUD or better sensory comm capabilities. In terms of upgrades, Helldivers can improve their protection situationally, activating a personal shield stratagem or donning heavy armor perk, while clones rely on specialist units for better armor, i.e. commandos with shields. One consideration is that clone commandos' Katarn armor with shields is arguably superior to anything Helldivers normally wear. A commando could survive things that would kill a Helldiver, thanks to those personal shields and dense armor plating, but those units are limited in number. If we imagine equal parts of elites, perhaps a dozen or so clones have the high-tier armor advantage. Helldivers could counter this with their shield generators or simply overwhelming firepower. No personal shield holds up longer under concentrated bombardment. On balance, both factions, regular infantry, are relatively fragile if caught in the open. They must rely on cover and not getting hit. Helldiver's armor might stop a few more ballistic hits designed to stop bullets up to rifle caliber, whereas clone armor might be slightly less effective versus high-velocity kinetic rounds, but has saved troopers from glancing blaster shots. It's a close call. The presence of the clone commandos with superior armor tilts the needle a bit in the clones' favor in terms of overall force durability. The edge goes to the clone troopers when it comes to armor. It's nearly a toss-up, but the clones' Phase 2 armor combined with the elite commando armor integrated system gives them a slight edge in protection. Neither side's grunts can withstand direct hits, but clone units with specialized armor, ARC troopers or commandos, provide a durable backbone that outclasses Helldivers' standard suits. The Helldivers will have to rely on their gadgets and shields to stay in the fight. Training and discipline. When it comes to training, discipline, and battlefield coordination, we're essentially comparing mass-produced soldiers bred for war to volunteer human troops fighting for Super Earth. The differences are stark.
Helldiver training and discipline. Helldivers are part of the Super Earth Armed Forces but represent an elite branch, often described as the strategic scalpel of the military. Remarkably and humorously in lore, basic training in the C.E.A. is extremely short. Raw recruits undergo a 72-hour basic training course. After that, those selected for Helldiver duty get the real-deal Helldiver training program on Mars, which lasts 8 weeks. In-universe, this brevity is a satirical take on the propaganda-fueled, accelerated mobilization of Super Earth's forces. Despite the short formal training, Helldivers are fervently conditioned to be fearless, obedient to the cause of managed democracy, and proficient with a wide array of weapons and stratagems. They are all volunteers, or voluntary conscripts, instilled with fanatic patriotism, essentially indoctrinated to run into the most dangerous battles gladly. The result is a force with high morale and willingness to sacrifice. They did not lose their life. They gave it willingly, is a common Helldiver eulogy. On the battlefield, Helldivers operate in small squads, often 4-person teams in gameplay, relying on each other and strict comms discipline to survive overwhelming odds. They have to memorize complex stratagem codes and execute them under fire, a testament to their focus and drilling. However, when scaling up to 1,000 Helldivers, one must note, Helldivers are not commonly seen operating as a massive cohesive unit. Their doctrine usually involves dropping behind enemy lines in small groups for saboteur missions. Thus, coordinating 1,000 Helldivers in a pitched battle could be chaotic. There isn't an obvious rigid rank structure among player character Helldivers. All are essentially equals following mission objectives. One can assume they'd break into platoons and squads with designated leaders for this scenario, but large-scale formation tactics might not be their forte. Discipline-wise, Helldivers are brave, but can be undisciplined in certain ways. Friendly fire is a known risk. In the game, sloppy stratagem throws can flatten your own team. So while they are courageous and tenacious, their coordination in huge numbers might lack the polish of a traditional army. They do, however, follow orders from high command without question. The propaganda machine ensures they'll charge any objective, no matter the odds.
Clone Trooper training and discipline. Clone Troopers, on the other hand, are literally born and bred to be soldiers. Grown in the cloning facilities of Camino, they undergo intensive training from early childhood. From birth, clones learn combat skills, tactics, and loyalty through flash training and live exercises. Their growth is accelerated to reach physical maturity in about 10 years, during which time their entire life is military education. The Camino training regiments, supplemented by instructors like Mandalorian mercenaries, produce troopers who are extremely disciplined, well-versed in squad tactics, marksmanship, and operational strategy. By the time the Clone Wars starts, a freshly deployed clone trooper has more combined training and simulated combat under their belt than many career soldiers. They also have inhibitor chips enforcing loyalty to the Republic and conditioning that emphasizes chain of command and order following. In battle, clone troopers exhibit remarkable unit cohesion. They use hand signals, cover formations, and coordinated fields of fire as second nature. Even under extreme stress, they hold their formations and follow their commanders, often Jedi or clone officers, with steadfast discipline. The phrase "good soldiers follow orders" is practically coded into them. That said, by Phase 2 in the later war, clones have developed more individuality and initiative. Experience has made many into free-thinking, creative strategists within the scope of orders. Elite clones like ARC troopers receive direct training from Jango Fett himself, learning to operate with more autonomy and advanced tactics. ARC troopers and commandos can even disobey standing orders if their judgment deems it necessary for the mission, a level of tactical independence normal clone grunts can't typically have. Overall, with 1,000 clones, we essentially have a battalion strength unit that will act with consistent doctrine. They have designated ranks, clone commanders, captains, lieutenants, sergeants, to keep everyone in line. On the battlefield, clones are used to fighting side by side in large numbers, so controlling 1,000 strong force is within their capability. Comparison. It's a classic quality versus quantity training debate, except here the quantity clones are also high quality due to their identical focused upbringing. Helldivers are elite human troops, but with a satirical spin of limited training time, meaning their true strength comes from experience and zeal, not years on the parade ground. In terms of raw discipline, clone troopers have the edge. They will hold the line under fire, where some Helldiver units might break formation to call down stratagem or accidentally cause disorder. Like, imagine dozens of Helldivers trying to call down airstrikes. Without impeccable discipline, this could get messy. Clones execute orders in lockstep and can perform complex maneuvers like flanking, suppression, and retreat in good order thanks to their unified training. Helldivers, while brave, might be comparatively prone to confusion in large battles. They excel at small unit tactics and handling chaos on a skirmish scale, but coordinating 1,000 independent-minded Space Marines could lead to an overlapping fields of fire and some friendly fire accidents. That said, Helldivers are far from ragtag. They are highly motivated professionals. We can expect them to fight ferociously and improvise when needed. Their mantra is achieving objectives, no matter the odds, implying a level of determination that matches or exceeds the clone's genetic loyalty. In the end though, the clone army's regimen is hard to beat. A lifetime of training and an almost unbreakable obedience to command make the clones exceptionally reliable and coordinated. The edge goes to the clone troopers when it comes to training and discipline. Clones have a significant advantage here. literally bred for battle. They execute tactics with machine-like discipline, but human creativity. Helldivers are fearless and skilled, but their shorter training and smaller squad mindset mean the clones will be better organized and more cohesive in a large-scale fight. Now, raw firepower. Which side can put more destructive energy downrange? This combines weapons, heavy support, and numbers to asses. Who hits harder? In a nutshell, Helldivers bring extremely high firepower per squad thanks to their heavy weapons and stratagems, whereas Clone Troopers bring consistent, sustained firepower through superior numbers of soldiers firing in concert in heavy weapons teams. Helldivers Firepower. A single 4-person Helldiver team can annihilate dozens of foes in seconds with coordinated stratagem use. Scale that to 1,000 Helldivers and you have a wall of destruction. Consider that every Helldiver can carry a heavy weapon, like a recoilless rifle or MG, in addition to their primary. You could have hundreds of machine gunners and rocket launchers among the 1,000. Moreover, Helldivers can call orbital barrages and airstrikes, as we've discussed, effectively acting as forward observers for naval gunfire. The yield of some Helldiver munitions is tremendous. For instance, the stratagem bombing run or an orbital laser could devastate a whole platoon of clones in one blast. They even have a stratagem called the Democracy Bomb, often nicknamed the Hell Bomb, which in lore is a planet-cracking nuke used to destroy alien bug nests. Obviously overkill for a troop fight, but it shows the upper limit of their firepower if they were truly unrestrained. Practically, Helldivers can saturate a target area with explosive, frag grenades, artillery shells, napalm, to a degree that would make clone commanders blanch. However, their high firepower comes in bursts. Stratagem strikes have cooldowns. Heavy weapons need reloading, etc. If the Helldivers unleash everything in one massive alpha strike and don't wipe out the enemy, they might have a moment of downtime where they're more vulnerable. Clone Troopers Firepower. The Clone Troopers rely on volume of fire and heavy support weapons integrated into squads. 100 Clone Troopers firing DC-15 blasters can create a literal storm of laser bolts, enough to pin down or cut apart most infantry. Their blasters, while not as individually devastating as an anti-tank missile, have the advantage of rapid sustained fire, power packs allowing dozens of shots before reload, and easy swaps to new packs. Clones coordinate fire teams. Typically, a clone squad might have 9 troopers with rifles and 1 with a Z6 rotary cannon. The Z6 can spit out 1,000 plus rounds per minute of plasma. Picture a minigun stream of blue bolts. Multiply that by many squads and clones can maintain suppressive beams on multiple targets, potentially intercepting Helldivers before they launch stratagems. Clones also have vehicle support potentially. For example, the ATTE Walker's mass driver cannon or the AV-7 artillery operated by clones can deliver big booms. If we do consider combined arms, a single ATTE volley or gunship missile volley counts as clone firepower and is quite deadly. Even without that, clones have turret emplacements that can be set up to augment their fire. And of course, snipers can pick off high-value targets from afar, thinning out the Helldivers' heavy weapons operators. One factor, Helldivers bullets versus clone blaster bolts. Blaster bolts are visible lasers that travel slower than bullets. This means in a long-range exchange, Helldivers using rifles might hit targets faster and less visibly. However, blasters can sometimes deliver explosive effects on impact, some called small burst, so clones might do more damage per shot in splash terms, whereas their Helldiver kinetic rounds are pinpoint. It's a bit apples to oranges. Combined firepower assessment. If both sides line up and open up full blasts, initially the Helldivers can deliver cataclysm strikes. Think of dozens of strafing runs, hundreds of rockets and grenades, and thousands of rounds from their guns, all hitting the clone lines. The clone troopers caught in that would suffer heavy losses. But clones, if not immediately wiped, will return fire with mass blaster volleys that could mow down Helldivers by sheer volume. In sustained combat, clones potentially have an edge in endurance of firepower. They carry lots of ammo, blaster packs are lightweight compared to physical ammo, and could rotate units to keep firing. Helldivers might need to pause to reload ballistic weapons more often or wait on stratagem cooldowns. However, the Helldivers have another trick: concentration of firepower at critical points. They can focus on orbital strikes on the biggest threats. So if clones bring, say, an ATTE walker or an entrenched E-web nest, Helldivers will allocate a targeted strike to eliminate it swiftly. Clones generally rely on brute force, shooting everything, and clever tactics rather than one giant hammer blow, unless they had heavy artillery support externally. In practical outcomes, Helldivers tend to achieve higher burst damage. Clones achieve higher sustained damage. A notable scenario: Helldivers calling an MG94 machine gun drop for each squad means in a defensive stand, you'd have many automated or manned machine guns that could shred charging clones. Conversely, clones firing en masse could intercept Helldivers running in the open due to the Helldivers' ability to escalate to extremely heavy ordnance. Their overall potential firepower is greater. The clone army's advantage is that they can apply a lot of moderate firepower everywhere at once, but the Helldivers can apply overwhelming firepower at specific points to break the lines. The edge goes to the Helldivers when it comes to firepower. By a margin, Helldivers take this category thanks to their access to truly devastating weaponry and strikes. In a straight-up duel, they can hit harder and more unexpectedly than the clone troopers. The clones are no slouches, and their sustained blaster fire is deadly, but the peak output of the Helldivers in any given instance is higher. One well-placed airstrike can do what dozens of clone blasters might take a minute to accomplish. Special abilities and equipment. This category covers the unique gadgets, abilities, and support each faction can bring to bear beyond standard weapons and armor. Here, we see Helldivers' signature stratagems versus the clones' specialized units and gear. Helldivers' special abilities and equipment. The defining special capability of Helldivers is their stratagem system. Stratagems are basically tactical support requests that a Helldiver can call in via a quick coded transmission. Each Helldiver can carry multiple stratagem beacons into battle. These allow them to do things like call down ordnance, i.e. orbital precision strike, a targeted orbital bombardment, thunder barrage, a carpet of rockets from a strike fighter, or even an orbital laser strike. These hit like artillery or worse, essentially giving infantry access to airstrike level firepower on demand. Deploy turrets and mines. Helldivers can summon automated sentry guns, machine gun turrets, anti-tank turrets, even flamethrower turrets, and minefields at chosen locations. This can fortify a position in seconds. Reinforcements and vehicles. Perhaps most game-changing, Helldivers can request reinforcement pods. In gameplay, this brings a dead player back, but in our scenario, it could mean dropping additional troops or at least repositioning soldiers. They can also call down vehicles like the exosuit. In many mech with heavy weapons, these assets drop via Hellpod just like the soldiers. Support gadgets, i.e. a resupply stratagem to get more ammo, a shield generator pack, a portable energy shield device, or a recon UAV drone that highlights enemies. The stratagem beacons are thrown, and then a pod or delivery system comes from above after a short cooldown. Importantly, anything or anyone caught under a dropping hell pod will be crushed. Helldivers can literally use their drop pods as kinetic weapons. This means special equipment deployment doubles as an attack. Imagine a clone trooper looking up only to be squashed by a plummeting supply pod. The Helldiver stratagems are arguably the greatest advantage, effectively giving every squad the ability of an artillery battery, an engineer corps, and even vehicle depot in their back pocket. It does require coordination and cooldowns, but a team of Helldivers can stagger calls to have a near continuous stream of special support. Beyond stratagems, Helldivers have personal perks like displacement fields, short teleport dodges, stim boost, or stealth cloaking. In some Helldivers 2 content, they can enhance individual performance. These are less confirmed in lore, but certainly, a Helldiver unit might have a few troopers with experimental camo cloaks or enhanced mobility. The bottom line, Helldivers can adapt on the fly, bringing in whatever equipment the situation demands. High Command provides them with nearly any piece of equipment needed to get the job done, including experimental armaments. Clone Troopers' special abilities and equipment. Clone Troopers don't have magical drop pods or on-demand ordnance, outside of calling for support from their navy, which is beyond the scope of an infantry skirmish. Their special abilities come largely from their specialized variants and combined arms integration. Elite units. We have ARC Troopers in the mix. ARCs often carry jetpacks for enhanced mobility, as seen with the 501st Jet Troopers, grappling cables, and have advanced tactics training, i.e. performing halo jumps and infiltration. ARC Troopers might serve as forward observers, calling shots or performing sudden flanking strikes with their jump capability. Clone Commandos bring slicing gear, explosive breaching charges, and sophisticated recon sensors. They operate in 4-man squads that can undertake covert objectives like disabling a Helldiver's comms relay or painting a target for bombardment, if their side has artillery support. Integrated vehicles. While our scenario is primarily infantry versus infantry, Clone Troopers typically fight alongside vehicles like the AT-RT Scoutwalkers, BARC speeder bikes, and LAAT gunships. If we allow some of this, clones could have a small one-man AT-RT walkers for a few troopers, adding mobility and a bit of firepower. An AT-RT has a laser cannon that's potent against infantry. They might also have portable E-Web heavy repeating blasters, a crew serve turret that they can set up for support. So clones can deploy their own turns, though they have to manually carry and assemble them, unlike Helldivers who press a button and drop one from space. Environmental gear. Clones have variants for various environments. For example, they have clone scuba gear for underwater operations, cold assault gear for Arctic planets, and so on. In our battle covering sea, jungle, night, etc., the clones can equip themselves appropriately, i.e. night vision, micro binoculars for night ops, or camouflage armor for jungle, like the 41 Elite Corp camo armor. Helldiver suits can handle environment generically, but clones can optimize with these special kits. Teamwork abilities. Clones execute things like synchronized volleys or crossfire maneuvers. These are doctrinal, but effectively a special skill born of training that Helldivers might not match and polish. Potentially have medics in their ranks who can treat wounded troops. Helldivers do not really have medics. If one dies, another one is dropped in rather than healed, so the clone's ability to recover injured might keep more of them in the fight. Comparison. Helldivers clearly have an overt advantage in its special equipment. The entire modus operandi is built around rapid deployment and force multiplication through technology. Being able to rain airstrikes or instantly fortify an area is something Clone Troopers can't directly counter without their external support. The closest clones come is calling a gunship for an airstrike. Clone Commando gadgets, like a portable breaching charge or slicing device, are great for certain objectives. For example, in a covert mission, a commando might slightly disable a Helldiver's communications or hack a defense turn. But on an open battlefield, that's subtle compared to, say, a Helldiver calling down an AT-47 anti-tank missile strike on a cluster of clones. The Helldiver's flexibility in equipment means if they encounter a surprise, they can adapt by requesting the right tool, whereas clones must make do with what they have already. One could argue the clone's best special ability is their unwavering loyalty and coordination. But we've covered discipline already. In terms of gear and tricks, Helldivers have more trump cards to play. The edge goes to the Helldivers when it comes to special abilities and equipment. The Helldiver stratagem system and high-tech support give them a huge advantage in special equipment. They essentially carry an entire armor support elements in their pockets, whereas clones, while well equipped and aided by elite units, can't match the Helldivers' on-demand fire support fortifications and gadgetry. Tactical Doctrine. Welcome back, guys. Hope you guys are enjoying this series so far. I can tell you that I am enjoying it very much. Please continue to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel, and please put your inputs down in the comment section so I can learn more and the entire community can learn more as well. But without further ado, let's get into tactical doctrine. Here, we compare the battlefield strategy and doctrine each side employs. It's structured military science versus opportunistic shock tactics. The Clone Trooper Doctrine was developed to fight a galactic war, whereas the Helldiver Doctrine revolves around rapid strikes and high-risk missions. Helldiver Tactical Doctrine. Helldivers operate as elite shock troopers. Their typical mission profile is to drop behind enemy lines, carry out sabotage or capture objectives, then extract. They are essentially futuristic paratroopers mixed with special forces. The Helldiver Doctrine emphasizes mobility, surprise, and overwhelming localized firepower. They prefer to attack from an unexpected direction, hit hard, and accomplish the mission, and then escape before protracted engagement ensues. Helldivers are trained to be autonomous. Once on the ground, a small team makes its own tactical decisions in absence of high command. Aside from mission updates, they are used to fighting surrounded by enemies, using every tool at their disposal to survive. Friendly fire caution is drilled into them, though accidents can happen. In lore, that's treated with dark humor. Helldivers will not typically line up and advance in formation. Instead, they'll spread out, find cover, call in support, and use area denial weapons to control the flow of the battle. Via minefields to prevent flanking, turns to hold choke points, you get the point. They excel in defensive firefights where they can funnel a horde into kill zones, and in offensive raids where they can appear out of nowhere at critical spots. However, the Helldivers lack large unit formation experience. You won't see Helldivers performing a regimental parade or a multi-company pincer movement. Coordination beyond the squad level might be ad hoc. Perhaps they'd elect overall commanders among themselves for this battle, but it's not their bread and butter. Their doctrine is flexible to the point of looseness. If one approach isn't working, the Helldivers might independently decide to try another via, "I'm calling down a mech suit over here, cover me," while another says, "I'm going to flank right with a flamethrower." This individual initiative is great for adaptability, but can conflict if not properly led. In summary, Helldivers tactics are aggressive, unpredictable, and rely on technological force multipliers. They are more than willing to trade lives for victory. Every Helldiver is prepared to die for Super Earth, as propaganda ensures them their death is glorious. Meaning, they'll charge a machine gun nest if needed, though more likely they'll drop a stratagem on it instead of frontal charge. Clone Trooper Tactical Doctrine. Clone Troopers follow a formal military doctrine shaped by both Camino training and Republic command structure. They fight as units, squads, platoons, companies, each with designated leaders and roles. A basic clone infantry tactic is fire and maneuver. Some troopers lay down suppressive fire while others flank the enemy. They make heavy use of cover and move in bounding overwatch. One element covers while the other moves. Clones are extremely well coordinated. We often see them call out targets, "Concentrate fire on Sector 3!" and perform actions in unison. They also integrate combined arms by default. On the battlefield, clones coordinate with tanks, walkers, and gunships overhead. Tactically, clone commanders will use reconnaissance, maybe an ARF scout trooper or probe droid, to assess the enemy, then deploy units in classical fashion, i.e. fix the enemy with a base of fire, flank with another element, use heavy weapons against hardened targets. They also make use of covering fire and retreat maneuvers if needed. Clones will fall back in formation rather than route individually, thanks to discipline. The presence of ARC troopers adds some unpredictability on the clone side. ARCs perform daring solo maneuvers or take on objectives unconventionally, but generally, clones stick to the battle plan and hierarchy. Adaptability. Clones are trained to adapt to separatist droid strategy, and with Jedi leadership, they often have to adjust on the fly to crazy plans. So while rigid, they aren't completely inflexible. After all, they learn to counter enemies like the cunning General Grievous or the wild tactics of Jedi generals. By Phase 2, many veteran clones have developed personal strategic sense. Examples: Rex, Cody, etc., who could plan complex operations themselves. One hallmark of clone doctrine is combined fire. Multiple clones focus fire on single targets to bring them down quickly. Since the battle droids can be tough in numbers, they will absolutely employ this against, say, Helldivers' heavy exosuits, expecting that concentrated rifle fire can pierce most armor with enough hits. Another hallmark: clones dig in effectively. They set up perimeter defenses, coordinate overlapping fields of fire, and use heavy weapons at choke points. The 212th Attack Battalion, for instance, is known for frontal assaults, hence Attack Battalion, while others like the 327 Star Corps often establish defensive lines against droid forces. Comparison. In a direct confrontation, clone doctrine is much more suited to pitched battle. They will likely take a measured approach, secure terrain, advance undercover, use suppressive fire, and flanking. If Helldivers drop in suddenly, clones might initially be thrown off, but their training will quickly kick in. They'll form firing formations and respond to the threat systematically. Helldivers, by contrast, will try to disrupt the clones' organized maneuvers with shock tactics, flashbang grenades, sudden strafing runs, etc. It's almost like guerrilla-style tactics, Helldivers, versus conventional military tactics, clones, but with both sides being high-tech and elite. Helldivers might not have a unified command structure as effective as the clones. Sure, they have comms and likely someone acting as commander, but clones literally have designation CT numbers for each trooper in clear rank, enabling quick top-down orders. For example, if a clone captain sees a flank collapsing, he'll order reinforcements there, and those clones will obey immediately. If a Helldiver officer tried the same, the more freewheeling Helldiver squads might take more precious seconds to adjust or might be preoccupied with their own immediate situation. Helldivers excel in chaotic situations where strict plans fail. They improvise well because that's their norm. Clones excel in structured engagements and will impose structure on chaos when possible. On a strategic level, clones have better logistic doctrine, supply lines, medvacs, etc. Though, in this short matchup, that's not huge. Helldiver strategy is often simply hold out long enough until the job is done or you're dead. Clones will consider casualty conservation a bit more, but the edge goes to the clone troopers when it comes to tactical doctrine. The clone army's tactics are more refined for large-scale warfare. They bring superior unit coordination, planning, and battlefield control. Helldivers have ingenious tactics at small scale and can sow chaos, but the clone troopers' doctrinal solidity will generally give them the upper hand in executing battle plans and reacting in an organized manner to battlefield developments. Mobility and deployment. Mobility encompasses how quickly and effectively forces move on the battlefield and deploy to the battlefield. This is a critical difference. Helldivers specialize in rapid deployment, whereas clone troopers rely on more traditional but still fast deployment via transports. Also guys, for this, the Helldivers cannot call down for more help. No one else has reinforcements. It's just 1,000 versus 1,000. It wouldn't make sense. Basically, if the Helldivers can call down more troops or can redeploy, then the clone troopers could, call for more reinforcements. It wouldn't really make sense. So the whole thing is 1,000 versus 1,000. I will eventually in the future do an entire battle between clone troopers versus the Helldivers, which means the entire Galactic Republic versus the entire C.E.A. Alright, but for this battle specifically, it's only 1,000 versus 1,000, no extra troops. Helldivers mobility and deployment. As their name suggests, Helldivers dive into hell literally. Their method of deployment is via Hellpod drop pods from orbit. A Helldiver strike can be launched from a fleet ship or space station and inserted directly into the combat zone in moments. These one-man drop pods scream down through the atmosphere and slam into the ground at the target location. The arrival is dramatic and dangerous to anything nearby due to impact. In terms of strategic mobility, this means Helldivers can appear anywhere, anytime, with no warning, other than maybe a fiery streak in the sky seconds before impact. They don't need landing zones or airfields. Every patch of ground is a potential entry point. This gives them huge strategic flexibility, Need to reinforce a city? Helldivers can be dropping into a city center within minutes. Need to assault a fortified position? Helldivers can drop inside the perimeter if coordinates allow. Furthermore, Helldivers have personal movement perks. Some use jump packs or jet boots, and all have high endurance for running. There's even a perk known as the cardio accelerator to run faster, meaning some Helldivers could sprint at exceptional speed across the battlefield. They also can perform diving rolls or use a displacement field to teleport dodge a few meters, a tactical mobility edge that clones lack. For longer moves on the ground, Helldivers rely on vehicles called in via stratagem. They can summon a 4-person APC or a 2-leg mech. While these are useful, Helldivers do not have massive teleports like the Republic's LAAT. If they need to redeploy a large distance mid-battle, they might extract. Helldiver extraction is typically a shuttle dropship, like the Helldivers Eagle shuttle that comes to pick them up at evac points. These shuttles are fast, but a bit vulnerable coming in. Clone Troopers, mobility and deployment. Clone Troopers normally deploy from low-altitude assault transports, LAAT gunships, or heavier landers for vehicles. In our scenario, to get 1,000 clones into battle, they'll likely arrive via several gunships that swoop in and offload squads rapidly, or via a large transport like a new class shuttle. Clones can deploy pretty fast. We've seen LAATs blitz into hot zone and clones repel or jump out, getting into cover swiftly. However, they do not need a relatively safe LZ, or at least a not completely obstructed area to land. Later on, clone paratroopers did exist, but not common. On the ground, clones have good mobility through vehicles. The ATRT walkers allow clone scouts to move quickly and still fight from a perch. The BARC speeders can rapidly reposition troopers. In urban combat, they can hitch rides on ATTEs or etc. Clones move on foot at a high pace of a highly fit human, which Helldivers share. Clones do have some troopers with jump packs. Some clones can leap onto rooftops or over obstacles similarly. They often use grappling hooks for vertical movement when needed. In terms of large-scale redeployment, clones usually rely on their transports. If 1,000 clones need to reposition across the battlefield, a clone commander would radio for a LAAT pickup or have them mount up on vehicles. That takes minutes and some coordination. Helldivers, by contrast, could potentially evac and redrop elsewhere more rapidly, though doing so under fire is risky. A key advantage: Helldivers can deploy behind enemy lines to start with. Clones normally deploy at front line or drop zone, then move to contact. Helldivers might begin a battle by literally landing in the clone's rear or flanks, immediately negating any defensive lines the clones set up at the front. However, clones have numbers such that they can respond to multiple incursions. If Helldivers drop in scattered fashion, clones will radio and regroup to contain each pocket. Mobility during battle. If it comes to relocation or maneuver, clones might attempt to flank marches, which Helldivers could see and counter with fast dropships. For example, if clones start moving a company through a forest to flank, Helldivers might quickly call a stratagem drop of mines to slow them. One limitation for Helldivers: they require their orbiting ship to be in position to deploy pods or support. If that link is ever severed, jamming, or the ship destroyed, their mobility and support plummets. Clones once on the ground are self-sufficient in movement. Comparison. Helldivers have an obvious edge in strategic deployment. They control when and where the fight starts more often than not. Clone troopers have to react or set ambushes and hope Helldivers don't just bypass them. On a tactical micro level, both are comparable in foot speed and personal agility. Clones are at peak human condition, Helldivers as well. Clones possibly have more heavy transports available if the battle involves moving entire units around. Like if it turned into an extended campaign, clone logistics with ATTEs and LAATs outshines Helldivers' minimal transport usage. But within the scope of our battle, Helldivers basically dictate the engagement range and location with their drop capabilities. Also, Helldivers can retreat quickly, calling a dropship for evacuation, whereas clones might have to fall back on foot to some extraction point if things go south, unless a gunship swoops in under fire. The edge goes to the Helldivers when it comes to mobility and deployment. The ability to drop from orbit at will gives Helldivers unprecedented operational mobility. They can appear where clones least expect and reposition through evac/drop tactics much faster than clones moving over land. While clones are very mobile within battle, especially with their vehicles, the Helldivers' strategic and vertical mobility is a defensive advantage in this category. Wars in real life are rarely won by just strength alone. They are won through complex mix of strategy, logistics, morale, technology, leadership, and timing. Here's a breakdown of the key factors that usually determine the winner in real wars throughout history. Throughout history, most wars have been won not by brute force alone, but by a consistent combination of strategic, logistical, and environmental advantages. Let's break it down across eras and core principles that have defined how most historical wars were actually won. Here's a ranked list from the most important to the least important of the factors that historically win wars, based on centuries of military history, analysis, and doctrine. Number 1. Strategy and tactics. Wars are won by those who make the smartest moves, not the loudest. A smaller, weaker army can defeat a larger force with better tactics. Brilliant generals like Alexander, Genghis Khan, and Napoleon repeatedly proved this. Without good strategy, even the best weapons and armies fall apart. Strategy and tactics, the winner of this category are the clone troopers. Clones are bred for war and operate as true military. Squad cohesion, chain of command, and battlefield discipline. They were trained by Jango Fett, by the way, one of the galaxy's most elite bounty hunters. Use coordinated pincer movements, suppressive fire, and clone-specific armor and formation tactics. Helldivers are elite, but operate like fire teams dropped into chaotic war zones. Less emphasis on traditional military tactics, more on hit and run, shock and awe combat. The edge goes to the clones. Tactical cohesion across large formations. Number 2. Logistics and supplies. An army without food, ammo, or fuel is already defeated. Wars of attrition, like World War II or the American Civil War, were won by outsupplying the enemy. No matter how strong the force, if they can't move, eat, or fight, they lose. Logistics win long wars. Logistics and supply lines. The winner of this category are the Helldivers. Helldivers have access to stratagems, orbital drops that instantly deliver weapons, airstrikes, turrets, mechs, and supply pods mid-battle. Clone supply lines depend on ships or bases. If caught in hostile terrain, they're stuck with anything that they just brought down. Helldivers can resupply anywhere. That's a game changer. The edge goes to the Helldivers. Infinite mid-combat resupply and firepower deployment. Morale and willpower. If your army gives up, your weapons don't matter. Moral determines endurance, courage, and resistance. Revolutionary wars, insurgencies, and underdog victories were often fueled by morale. An army that believes can resist for years against impossible odds. Morale and willpower. The winner in this category are the Helldivers. Clones fight with loyalty to the Republic, but many feel existential dread and a lack of autonomy, as shown in the Clone Wars series. Helldivers are ideological zealots. They choose to serve Super Earth and see dying for democracy as glorious. Their voice lines say it all. Freedom, liberty, managed democracy for Super Earth. Helldivers have the edge. Fanatical morale and suicidal bravery. Technology and innovation. Tech can turn the tide if used properly. Gunpowder, tanks, radar, nuclear weapons, drones, every age has a tech shift. However, tech alone doesn't guarantee victory. It's most effective when paired with good strategy. Technology and innovation. The winner in this category are, again, the Helldivers. Helldivers use energy weapons, railguns, explosive crossbows, and mechs. They wield weapons built for exterminating aliens, bugs, bots, and monsters. Clone weapons are advanced, but mostly blaster-based. DC-15s are strong, but limited against armored Helldivers with shielded support gear. Helldivers also have arc weapons, orbital lasers, and stratagem-based nukes. The edge goes to the Helldivers. Weapons scale with threat even to Terminid levels. Terrain and environmental advantage. Knowing the land is a silent superweapon. Russia's winters defeated Napoleon and Hitler. Vietnam's jungle neutralized American air superiority. Terrain helps you control the pace and shape of the battle. Terrain and environmental adaptation. The winner goes to the Helldivers. Helldivers are built to adapt to any environment: lava worlds, icy planets, jungle swamps, acid rainstorms. Clone armor is great, but less adaptive without support infrastructure. Helldivers deploy into chaos and thrive in it. The edge goes to the Helldivers, trained for hostile, randomized terrain. Number 6, alliances and economic power. More allies equals more men, more money, more pressure. The US wouldn't have won its independence without France. World War II was won because the Allies pooled resources and manpower. Alliances are multipliers. They rarely win wars alone, but they make victory very possible. Alliances and support. The winner of this category goes to the Clone Troopers. Clones often fight along Jedi Generals, ARC Troopers, and Republic naval support. Helldivers operate independently. It's one squad versus the world. If Jedi are allowed, even just one, the battle might end up tilting on the other side. But the clones in this category have the edge: military structure with high-tier battlefield allies. Number 7, overwhelming force and shock. Sometimes the side that hits first and hardest wins fast. Shock and awe tactics like Blitzkrieg can overwhelm unprepared foes. This works best in short wars, but fails if the enemy adapts. Strength alone does not equal endurance. Overwhelming force and shock value. The winner in this category goes to the Helldivers. Their orbital 500 kilogram bombs, Eagle strafing runs, and EXO-44 mech suits give them a brutal opening punch. They can nuke an entire squad in seconds with one stratagem. Clone artillery is powerful, but they need to call it in conventionally. The edge goes to the Helldivers. Greater burst potential, instant shock deployment. Number 8, psychological warfare and information control. Controlling the mind can end battles before they begin. Disinformation, fear tactics, and propaganda can destroy morale. Useful in modern hybrid and cyber warfare. Least important historically, but growing rapidly in the digital age. Psychological warfare and information control. The winner in this category goes to the Clone Troopers. Clones can work with recon units, stealth scouts, and ARC Troopers with slicer and infiltrator tools. Helldivers rely more on loud chaos and firepower. Psychological warfare is baked into their brutality, but not subtle. The clones have the edge in stealth and infiltration potential. Using these 8 major real-world war-winning factors we just ranked, we have determined who has an overall advantage in a sustained one-life war. Final tally by category. Strategy and tactics, Clone Troopers. Logistics and resupply, Helldivers. Morale and willpower, Helldivers. Technology and firepower, Helldivers. Terrain and adaptability, Helldivers. Alliances and support, Clone Troopers. Shock and overwhelming force, Helldivers. Psychological warfare, Clone Troopers. The total, Helldivers with 5, Clone Troopers with 3. Final verdict, Helldivers win. In a 1,000 versus 1,000 battle with full gear, no Jedi, and no reinforcements, the Helldivers would win through relentless orbital bombardment, superior mobility, and overwhelming firepower. Their instant resupply and stratagems give them an edge no Republic trooper can match. The clone troopers are warriors, but the Helldivers are a walking extinction level event in uniform.